Hello. In today's video, we'll go through the various bodies, or in Sanskrit, we call it Sharira, and various koshas, which are nothing but layers of consciousness or sheaths of a human being. So, from a metaphysical and spiritual perspective, human body is not just the physical or the gross body. It's considered a multi-layered system of energy and multi-layered system of consciousness. So let's go through the multiple layers of a human body. So a quick overview here between what is Sharira and Kosha, and I'm going to use these Sanskrit words more often than the English words, because sometimes for these words we don't really have an exact English translation. So Sharira equivalent is body, and kosha is layers. So Sharira is an important component in Yoga Shastra. The term yoga literally means to combine or to unite. So what does yoga combine? Yoga combines the mind, which is the manas, and the body, which is Sharira. So if you look at the overview, what is the meaning of kosha and what is the meaning of Sharira? Kosha means layers that cover the soul or the jivatman. And Sharira are the different levels of existence. And we'll soon see why do I say so, but it's nothing but different levels of gross body or matter, which consists of matter in different planes. How do you exist, and using what body do you exist in different levels? So that is what we refer to as Sharira. And how many do you have in terms of number? We have 5 koshas, or 5 layers or sheets, and we have 3 bodies, which are gross, subtle, and causal. The function of a kosha is that it represents consciousness levels, and I said before, it layers or it covers the soul, so it represents the vibration of our consciousness in different levels. And what does Sharira, what's its function? It represents a structure of a being to exist in different levels. What's the relationship? Now, it should be understood that Sharira are nothing but containers for koshas. So koshas exist within these shariras. Okay, so koshas are a little more subtler than Sharira. So with that quick overview, let's move ahead and a deep dive into Sharira, or bodies, which are nothing but the 3 levels of existence or interconnected bodies. So in Vedic and yogic philosophy, Kosha and Sharira are related, but they are distinct concepts and they describe different aspects of human existence. If you go to the etymology of Sharira in Sanskrit, Shiryate tad Shariram. What does that mean? The one that continuously deteriorates or undergoes, many changes is known as Sharira. The first one that we are going to go through is Sthula Sharira. And there are 3 levels of existence, as I said in the previous overview. And the first one is Sthula Sharira, which is the gross body. So, what is gross body? What is Sthula Sharira? It's a physical body that is born and it grows and then it dies. And that's exactly why we use the word Sharira and not any other word. The physical, it's a physical vehicle for action, which in Sanskrit we say kriya, and that contains therefore karmendriyas, or the organs of action. Karma means action. So let's move on to Sukshma Sharira, or the subtle body. Now this is the seat of jnana or wisdom, and it houses the true centers that direct both the karmendriyas, which are the organs of action, and the jnanendriyas, which are the sense organs. And it consists of mind, emotions, intellect, and the pranic energy. And it also carries the karmic imprints. Moving on to the next Sharira, which is the Karna Sharira. Now, Karna Sharira is what we call causal body. It is the seed form of existence, which stores the karmic impressions and deep subconscious tendencies. So, by karmic impressions, I mean whatever are the karmic seeds that we accumulate from our past lives. They're all, there in the causal body or the Karana Sharira. And by deep subconscious tendencies, in Sanskrit we say vasanas. What are your tendencies or your prakriti? All that is found in the causal body. And that the source of ichcha, or the source of desire or will, influencing the other two bodies, are also found in the causal body. Now, while Sthula Sharira contains the physical sense and the sense organs and the action organs, the actual control centers reside in the Sukshma Sharira, guiding the perceptions and movement. What we saw discussed so far is the Sharira, or the bodies, the three levels of existence, depending on where we are existing. If you're on Earth, you certainly need a gross body. Let's say we die and we pass over, then we no longer need a physical gross body to exist in the next plane, right? We use our subtle body. And as we ascend, as we evolve, as we rather travel, through various realms, we kind of shed the subtler bodies one by one, and then, we exist in the causal body, and then it'll be time for us to reincarnate again. Now, before we go into discuss the kosha, I have a bit of passage that I found quite interesting from one of the books. You can pause the video and read it for yourself. But the gist of this passage that I found in one of the books on Mahavidyas is that the gross body is powered by the subtle body, which is made of energy and mind and intellect. Whatever input we get from our five senses, for example, those are processed and we form a response to what we take in the subtle body. Yeah. So there is a nice example given in this passage where you see an apple and you figure out that, oh, it's red and it's round. All that is processed by the physical body. But it's the subtle body that converts the information into, oh, it's a juicy apple. Based on your memory. Okay, it's a subtle body that would prompt you to take an action. Okay, let me just go grab the apple and have it. So the the gross body and subtle body, they operate hand in hand, and that's how most of us operate in this world. But we don't realize that. We think that it is the gross body that is doing everything. It's the brain that's doing everything. But yes, we need the gross body to operate in this three-dimensional, in the third density. However, it's the subtle body, is responsible for many of our responses, and subtle body is fueled by the causal body. Okay, because as I said, causal body is the seat of all our prakriti. Prakriti means the way I am. Okay, the vasanas, or the personality. The way we are built, the way we are wired. All that comes from our causal body. Okay, so and subtle body is fueled by the causal body, and that's how all the three bodies operate. Moving on to now kosha, which are the layers of consciousness. So these are coverings that seem to cover our Atman, which is the self or consciousness, and koshas are five layers which influence our experience of reality. These koshas act like wheels covering the pure consciousness, and this is one of the reasons that we don't really remember our past lives, because there is a wheel that's added when we take birth on earth. So these koshas act as wheels which cover the pure consciousness that lie within, which is Atman. and that determines our perception of life. These koshas determine our perception of life. Now, human being or an individual is a microcosm of the universe, embodying the same layers of reality in the form of koshas or layers, and they represent progressively the subtler aspects of our being. So you see in the picture, that's what I mean. You have the gross one, which is red, which is your Annamaya Kosha. So as we go within, they become subtler and subtler, and each of the inner koshas, they're progressively subtler. So let's start with the red one that's depicted in the picture, which we call Annamaya Kosha. Anna in Sanskrit means food. So that is the physical sheath. That means the gross tangible body formed by food, which is a food sheath. It's formed from the food we consume, composed of solids, liquids, and gases, and it corresponds to the visible aspects of the earth. And that is what we and it constitutes the Sthula Sharira, or the gross body that we just discussed. So it is a tangible material body composed of your bones and muscles and organs and tissues. Now, this is the outermost layer and it's the most dense. It's the vehicle through which the soul experiences the physical world. It's often seen as a temple, a vehicle, or a vessel for the soul or the higher selves to operate. So overall, this body, or this, sorry, this layer is important for our survival, for our grounding, and of course to interact with this material world. Now moving on to what's shown in the picture as the yellow one, which is the pranamaya kosha, or we call that energy or the vital sheath. The life force or the prana, which sustains the bodily functions, this is what that is why it's called prana sheath. It's made of etheric energy, and it represents the invisible aspects of earth sustaining the life force. So the subtle energy field that surrounds and interpenetrates the physical body is what we call this energy sheath. It's often described as a blueprint or a template for the physical body. And in Sanskrit, prana means energy, and all the activities of the body, remember, are governed by this energy. Once this prana is gone, our gross body is of no use. That's when it dies. So the physiological system that gives energy back up is your pranamaya kosha, and all the activities of the body cease, as I said, when prana leaves the body. And this layer is closely tied to the life force energy, or we call that prana in Sanskrit text. We call it chi in Taoism, in ki in as in Reiki. So it is responsible for your overall vitality and health. So it represents energy flow, vitality. It's a bridge between the physical and the spiritual realms. So that's your pranamaya kosha. Moving on to the next kosha, which is manonmaya kosha. It's a mental sheath. Manonmaya kosha is the cover denoting the mind. It is a seat of all your mind, emotions, and thoughts, which we call chitta in Sanskrit. It has both the lower mind and higher, or the conscious mind. It composed of therefore two layers, which is the denser part linked to your passions and the finer part governing your emotions and thoughts. And it serves as a vehicle for your lower mind, which is your manas, largely influenced by desires, or what we call in Sanskrit as kama. So it's, as I said, a layer for both your emotional and mental activities associated with your feelings and emotions and desires, with your thoughts and beliefs, mental processes, and it's set to store emotional experiences, both positive and negative. So it's kind of a fluid that's constantly changing, which reflects our innermost emotional state. It also governs your intellect, reasoning, and it's the power of the mind. It's where your conscious and subconscious thoughts reside. So it's all about your emotional balance and healing and the release of past trauma. All that happens through these layers. It also represents clarity, wisdom, and transformation of your limiting beliefs. So when we say let go of your fear, etc., this is the kosha that that represents all that. Now moving on to the next, or the fourth sheath, which is the Vijnanamaya Kosha or wisdom sheath. Now, this denotes the intellect or the sense faculties of a person, represents higher intellect, intuition, and discernment. It's a seat for both your logic as well as ego. It's associated with your higher manas, okay, higher mind. It transcends karma or desires, and it represents your intellect and discernment, as I said. Now, the pranamaya kosha, manonmaya kosha, and vijnanamaya kosha together form your sukshma sharira or subtler body. In some texts, it's also said that, your Annamaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha form your Sthula Sharira or the gross body. But there are some texts that say that your Pranamaya Kosha is not really part of gross, but it's a part of your Sattva. But based on my experience as an energy healer, I would say it transmutes. You don't have really a clear boundary. Okay, where does the gross body stop and where does the subtler body start? So I would say Pranamaya Kosha, it permeates these boundaries, and it's both a part of your Sthula Sharira or gross body as well as your subtler body, which is your Sukshma Sharira. Now, the last sheath that I want to discuss is the Anandamaya Kosha, which is a bliss sheath. Now, this denotes the attitude and the aptitude component of our personality. This is the subtlest and closest to your Atman or your soul, representing pure joy. Ananda means pure joy and spiritual awareness. It's the innermost layer closer to Atman, embodying pure wisdom, untouched by karma or desires, and corresponds to also the Karana Sharira. So your causal body is the container, and within the causal body lies the Anandamaya Kosha or the bliss sheath. So that's a quick, overview of all the koshas. I would encourage you to dive deeper. I've just, in a few minutes, given you only a quick overview of what are the three sharira or sharira trayas and the panchakoshas. I would encourage you to explore more. There are plenty of resources available on internet for you to explore and read more, listen more. So I would like to leave you with a bit of a connection here. As I said, what's the connection in all this? They're not separate. Annamaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha corresponds to your Sthula Sharira. Pranamaya Kosha also becomes a part, along with Manonmaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, exist in the Sukshma Sharira, which is your subtle body, and the Anandamaya Kosha is linked to your Karana Sharira, which is your causal body. Now, essentially, Sharira is the structure or the body, while Kosha is the function. And I would largely say they are the layers of experience and consciousness. And spirituality is all about more of experience rather than cognitively understanding, intellectually understanding all that. So it is these koshas that help us experience the reality as is. And both Sharira and koshas help in spiritual evolution, leading us toward self realization, which is our ultimate goal. Thank you for watching this video.